And speaking of what, look at that for an epic segue. Speaking of a lot of drink, we got to go ahead and talk about an area of the country that gets a lot of rain. And this is a team that I did end up highlighting. This was a team that did end up making some noise. Number 10, Washington. They start their season against a team that is quietly one of the best group of 5 teams in the country, Boise State. This is on ABC, and it will end up being a 3:30 kickoff. Now, that being said, I am ecstatic for this game. I think Boise State is going to get a lot of attention from this game because Boise State, being out there in Idaho, we know that they weren't necessarily going to get a lot of attention at all. But this is a good opportunity to get some really good national exposure. And both of these programs, too, are coming in red, smoking hot as well. Oh, my goodness. So Boise State last season, they ended up winning 4 of their last 5 games. They capped it off with a bowl win against North Texas, and that was in the Frisco Bowl. That was in an absolute thriller. And then we also have Washington. Washington, they rattled off at least 5 consecutive wins to end the season. I actually thought they should have went to the Pac-12 championship game because I think the Pac-12 was set up to where you have the 2 best teams in the in the conference, regardless of division, go to the Pac-12 championship, and it's regardless of divisional format. So I actually thought Washington was going to get in. Utah got in instead. I don't know if it was like a tiebreaker rule, but I thought Washington was very close to going to the Pac-12 championship last year. That's what I'm saying. In spite of that, they did end up winning their last 5 games. That does include wins against Oregon State and Oregon on the road. And how about this 27-20 victory over a certain Texas team that was in the Alamo Bowl? So Washington, and this is another reason why I'm excited about this game as well. So one, both of these teams are teams that are receiving votes in the AP poll. So Boise State winning this game could catapult them into the top 25. Washington is a team that I have as a dark horse in making the college football playoff. That was a team that I predicted to get in at the very beginning of the season. And Washington winning this game will get them one step closer in doing that, because you're going to have to be at least 12-1 and win your conference to probably get in to the college football playoff. That's just reality of it. 2 losses, never have cut it at any point. They certainly won't let that happen to a Pac-12 team. Just throwing all that out there. Now, this Washington team and a game, and this is the matchup that I'm really looking at. What I'm looking at right now is I'm looking at the quarterback battle that is going to transpire between these 2 particular teams. Washington, we know about their quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., and Michael Penix Jr. had an excellent season last year. 31 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, threw for 4,600 yards. He showed that he was back. He is back to his old self. We saw this kind of potential in 2020, back when he was at Indiana. Unfortunately, he tore his ACL. 2021, he was simply not the same. So he transfers to Washington. In his first year at Washington, it was fantastic. It was a great Washington first year. 4,600 yards. He was electric. He was fantastic. But that being said, Boise State's got a pretty darn quarterback as well. Taylor Green. Taylor Green was somebody, well, if you look at just his passing stats, they're not very eye-popping. He did only throw for 2,000 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. But he is a very dynamic athlete. He ran for nearly 600 yards last year, 10 touchdowns. He's the definition of a dual threat quarterback. So I'm really excited to see how this particular game goes down. This could have the ability to be a little bit more of a shootout. The over-under right now is at 58.5. This could be a game that we see in the low to mids, like the mid to high 60s. I think this is going to be a fun one to watch. Right now, the line's at 15. And the Any Given Saturday power rating model has Washington favored by 3 touchdowns. But there's just something in my gut, man. There's just something in my gut that tells me that this is going to be a closer game than what that spread is saying. Could Boise State pull this upset off? Well, I think Washington wins this game. Don't get me wrong. Washington could win this game, but I think Boise State, in their own right, I think they could also make it interesting too. So can't wait to see how that turns out. It's going to be a game that I might be tuning in to watch in its entirety. Should be interesting to see what goes down.